let's make a carnivore chicken fettuccine Alfredo. And you know what the secret is? This right here, Egglife wraps. Why? Because this is made with egg whites. So we're gonna make this together. You're gonna see how easy it is. First thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my little egg wraps and I'm going to slice them so that they are in the form of a fettuccine pasta. So it's about 1/4 inch thickness. And this simple recipe uses chicken. I'm making it with chicken breasts. You can also make it with chicken thighs. Heavy cream, chicken stock, and Parmesan cheese. And if you're able to, you can have the spices. My spices are just a little bit of Italian spices and nutmeg, depending on how strict you are in your carnivore diet. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna brown our chicken breast. So I am melting a 1/4 cup of butter, and it may seem like a lot, but you're gonna see why we're using that much butter. First, we're just gonna come in here and just kind of cook up our chicken, let it get a little color. I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. And we're just gonna let this brown for a few minutes. And the reason why we want that butter is because in this very pot, we're gonna make our Alfredo sauce. And so we're gonna use all the goodness of that butter and the little chicken bits that stay behind, because it's what gives it so much flavor. So now I'm just getting a little color on the chicken, making sure that it's fully cooked. I also, at this point, I come in and I'll cut the chicken little pieces a little further, basically to 1 inch thickness. You just want a bite size. And why I like doing it that way is it allows me to see how far along the chicken has cooked. If it needs to be cooked a little longer, if it's still raw. There's a little bit of a fine balance because we don't want to overcook our chicken because then it's dry, but obviously it can't be raw either. So we're just gonna let it get a little extra color, and we're almost at that point. So now our chicken is fully cooked. It's a little bit of browning, but it's not too brown. It's okay, because it's an Alfredo. We don't really want it to be too brown. But then we'll transfer it, and we'll be ready to do the actual Alfredo sauce. Okay, so now, before we actually make our Alfredo sauce, we gotta do another step first, and that's lightly toast our Egglife wrap fettuccine-style pasta, what I've made here, and we're gonna lightly toast it. What I found is that by lightly toasting the egg wraps, even though it's an extra step, I feel like it comes the closest to actually pasta. So that's what we're gonna do right now. I'm just gonna come in here. I'm gonna do this in batches, and I'm just gonna put some butter. I've added about, this is 2 packs of Egglife wraps, by the way. And so what I've done here is I'm just gonna put it in a skillet with a tablespoon of butter. I may have to add another 1/2 tablespoon of butter at some point because it is quite a bit. But what you'll notice is it will reduce, it'll shrink a little bit, which is what we're really after, because we want it to the fibers to tighten in a way that it feels like it has more of that bite of a pasta, if that makes sense. Well, this is really quick. Gonna come in here, and we're just gonna toast away. So our fettuccine pasta made out of Egglife noodles has been lightly toasted, and I'm just transferring it all to this ceramic bowl. Let it stay nice and warm, and then I'm gonna make the Alfredo sauce. So what I'm doing now is I'm kind of scraping the pan just to get the little nice burn bits, because that is where a lot of the flavor is. And as you can tell, there's really not a whole lot of butter left, but it's just enough to make our sauce. Now we're gonna deglaze it first with the chicken stock. You can, of course, use chicken bone broth if you prefer. And so we're just giving it a good stir, getting all the goodness from the edges. It's already looking good. And now comes the heavy cream. What's great about this Alfredo sauce is that you don't need to add any flour. When you make normal traditional Alfredo, a lot of times they cut corners by adding flour to thicken it. But whenever I make Alfredo sauce, I thicken it completely with the heavy cream and the cheese. In this case, Parmesan cheese. So we're just gonna let this simmer just a little bit. We want it to simmer on low. And then once it hits the right temperature, I'll go ahead and add the Parmesan cheese. And if you are able to, if you want to add spices, now's the time to add spices. I probably just add a little bit of it. I'm gonna try to add, mainly what I want is a touch of that nutmeg. It just works so well in Alfredo sauce. It just heightens the flavor so nicely. It's something that I've done forever. So it's ready for Parmesan cheese. It's got nice and hot, just so that we ensure that it melts evenly. This will also help thicken the sauce. And now you're just gonna cook it down until it reduces. That can happen at between 5-7 minutes. So now Alfredo sauce is fully thickened. It may feel like it's a little runny, but it's not. It's just the perfect consistency, because as it cools, it'll thicken a little bit more. And we want to have all that goodness, as you can see here, to coat our fettuccine strips that we've made out of the Egglife pasta. We're just gonna add all that goodness in here. Just give it a little good stir. See that? Ooh. I wish you could taste this. Hopefully, you'll see that it's so simple and a great way if you're missing pasta on a strict keto diet or carnivore diet. This is as good as it gets. And once I've added all of that sauce, I can now add back the chicken and also give it a stir. So I'm reserving a little bit of the chicken and a little bit of the sauce just to finish it off at the end before I plate it. And there you go. And now for the best part. Let's plate this and give it a try. Look at that. Tell me that doesn't look like fettuccine Alfredo. This is chicken fettuccine Alfredo, except this one is carnivore. And I'm just gonna add a little more Parmesan cheese on top. Should I call Randy? Good stuff. I know he loves this. Hey, love. Carnivore.
What do we have?
Carnivore chicken Alfredo, fettuccine Alfredo, made with the Egglife wrapped.
Here we go.
Should I serve you some, or should I keep it all for myself?
That's really good stuff.
All right. We hope you give it a try.
Stay fit to serve.